The sun hung like a bruised peach over the Wyoming plains, its dying light casting long shadows across the parched earth. Bitter Creek wasn't much of a town, just a scattering of weathered clapboard buildings huddled against the wind, their paint peeling like old skin. Dust swirled in lazy eddies, kicked up by the creaking wheels of a wagon train that had rolled in at noon, bringing with it a cargo of desperation. The townsfolk, lean and hardened by years of scraping a living from the unforgiving land, gathered in a loose semicircle around a makeshift platform in the town square. Their murmurs were sharp, laced with the kind of cruel amusement that thrives in places where hope is scarce. At the platform's edge stood Caleb Harrow, a cowboy whose name carried weight in the saloons and cattle trails from Cheyenne to Laramie. His hat was tipped low, shading eyes like chipped flint, and his lean frame leaned casually against a hitching post. But there was nothing casual about the way he watched the scene unfolding before him. The auctioneer, a wiry man named Silas Grimm, paced the platform with the swagger of a carnival barker. His voice, rough as a rusted hinge, cut through the crowd's chatter. "Step up, folks, step right up. We got a fine specimen here, strong as an ox and built for work." He gestured with a flourish to the figure at the platform center, a woman, broad and heavy, her dark hair tangled and damp with sweat. Her hands were bound with coarse rope, and her faded calico dress strained against her frame. The crowd's laughter rose, sharp and mocking, as Silas continued his pitch. "Mercy Tanner, ladies and gents. Ain't she a sight? Who'll start the bidding for this fine worker?" Mercy stood still, her chin lifted despite the weight of the crowd's scorn. Her face was flushed, not just from the heat but from the humiliation of being displayed like livestock. Her eyes, though, told a different story. They were wide, dark, and fierce, glinting with a defiance that refused to be snuffed out. Caleb noticed it immediately. He'd seen plenty in his 32 years, cattle drives gone sour, men gunned down over a bad hand of cards, towns burned to ash by greed or vengeance. But this was different. This wasn't just cruelty, it was a deliberate stripping of dignity, a spectacle designed to break a soul. And yet, Mercy Tanner wasn't breaking. The bids came slowly, each one laced with derision. $1, called a rancher in a stained vest, his grin wide enough to show missing teeth. $2, shouted another, a saloon girl's cackle following the offer. The amounts were pitiful, more insult than commerce, and Silas's smirk grew with every jeer. "Come now, folks," he goaded, "she's worth more than that. Look at those arms, built for hauling, cooking, anything you need." But the crowd's interest was waning. Mercy wasn't young or pretty by their standards, and her size, which should have spoken of strength, only drew their mockery. To them, she was no prize.